Let's talk about our legal immigration system, because there are a lot of misconceptions. For those who want to come here, there is no one line to get in. The lines that do exist can be prohibitively long or have sudden dead ends. And for many people, and this is really important, there simply isn't a line at all. And if you think, well, hold on, my ancestors waited online, not necessarily. For America's first 100 years, there were no federal immigration laws. Our immigration system has evolved into one with complicated and convoluted restrictions. Take country caps. When it comes to most types of green card, which allow you to be a lawful permanent resident, no more than 7% of immigrants accepted each year can come from any one country. What that means in practice is that big countries with a lot of would-be immigrants like China, India, and Mexico are subject to the same numerical caps as tiny ones like Malta. And it's not just numerical caps. The whole system has a lot of restrictions on who exactly can come here. In fact, the best way to understand it is that there are just 4 paths to permanent residency or citizenship. Family, you're related to someone who's already here. Employment, meaning you were offered a job here. Good luck, you won the visa lottery, which I'll explain later. Or bad luck, you're a refugee or seeking asylum. And the number of people going through each path is by no means equal. Proportionally, they should probably look a lot more like this. So let's start with the way that most immigrants come here. Family sponsorship. About 2/3 of green card holders come through the family-based system, which makes sense. If you're trying to bring your sibling over from China, the government is currently processing applications from 2006. If they're in India, 2004. From Mexico, January of 1997. That's 22 years ago. You might try the employment-based path. The way that pathway usually begins is an employer in America sponsors you and you come here on a temporary work visa. But it is temporary. You might be able to renew it if your employer likes you, but there can be limits on how many times you can do that. And even getting a work visa in the first place can be very difficult. Certain work visas are so hard to get, highly skilled people get turned away. Just getting a work visa does not mean you're going to end up staying here, because converting it into a green card can be difficult to practically impossible, depending on your skill level and where you're from. You need your employer to choose to sponsor you again, and there aren't many green cards to go round. Only around 140,000 of them are granted every year. And here's the thing, even when you are approved for a green card, there might not be one available for you, because those country caps that I mentioned also apply to employment-based immigration. So if you come in from, say, India, your estimated wait time can be ridiculously high. The family and employment paths make up around 80% of legal immigration. But what about if you are not related to somebody here and you aren't already highly skilled? Well, that brings us to the luck categories. If you are lucky, you could come to America through something called the diversity visa lottery, which I'll let the president explain so that you know exactly what it isn't.
They call it visa lottery. I just call it lottery, where countries come in and they put names in a hopper. They're not giving you their best names. Common sense means they're not giving you their best names. They're giving you people that they don't want. And then we take them out of the lottery. And where they do it by hand, where they put the hand in a bowl, what's in their hand are the worst of the worst.
Okay. There's just not time to break down how wrong everything he just said was, because everything about what he just said is wrong. The country the person comes from is not involved. They don't give us anyone. The people who win are vetted, and obviously it's not done by hand. What actually happens is anybody who lives in a country with low immigration rates to the United States can enter themselves into a computer-run, non-bowl-based lottery for the chance to win something called a diversity visa. And out of the millions of people who enter, only 50,000 win. So the visa lottery is the longest of long shots. It's honestly barely even worth talking about, which brings us to our final category here, bad luck. That is basically refugees and asylum seekers fleeing terrible situations. And America has long prided itself, with some reason, on the fact that it's led the world in terms of refugee resettlement, accepting more refugees annually than any other country. But, as you probably know, Trump does not care for that. He has attacked the asylum system repeatedly, and while Obama set the annual cap on refugees at 110,000 in his last year in office, Trump slashed it to 45,000 the next year and 30,000 the year after that. Things could get even worse. There are now reports that Trump's White House is weighing whether to cut the number of refugees we admit to 0 next year. Zero. And if they do that, then please tell me, what is the right way for refugees to come in then? And that is the point here. For all of their talk about how fine they are with legal immigration, this administration has worked hard to reduce it as much as possible across the board. He's made countless procedural tweaks gumming up the process for coming here legally, which helps explain why the time it takes to process an application has jumped 46% since 2016. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. And that doesn't have to mean that everyone who wants to come gets to come. But if you are going to say get in line to people, you should at least make sure they actually have a line to stand in.